Hello team captains! Thank you for taking the time to watch this informational video on MacEwan University Recreation's intramural leagues. I'm Madeline Christensen, the Recreation Supervisor.
I'm Marty Najelski, a Recreation Consultant.
And I'm Jessica Walker, a Recreation Consultant.
Over the course of this video, we'll be going over the policies and procedures of our intramural programs. It is your responsibility as a participant to know and abide by these policies and procedures, which can be found online at macewan.ca/recreation.
Accessing our website will give you all the pertinent information you require regarding our intramural leagues, as well as other recreation programs. Once on our website, you will be able to click yourself using our hyperlinks to our intramural policies and procedures. Reading through these policies and procedures will give you a complete picture of our intramural leagues. You will also find your online quiz link, a quiz which you will need to complete after watching this video. Besides reading through our policies and procedures and watching this video, please take a look at your league-specific rules. You can find these rules under your league-specific tab. Taking the time to do these three things will ensure you successfully complete the quiz, but more importantly, you will gain awareness of our programming guidelines. You can also find your league's all-time records under these tabs. The responsibility is on the participant to use our website as their go-to resource for all information regarding intramurals and recreation as a whole. Feel free to email us using our contact information, again located on our website, if you have any additional questions or concerns. At the conclusion of this video, you will be given a link to complete an online quiz. 2 representatives from your team must receive a mark of 80% or higher on this quiz in order to finalize your registration. They may retake the quiz as many times as necessary to receive this passing grade. Quizzes must be completed no later than Friday, September 25th. Late submissions from either one or both of the representatives of your team will result in a forfeit being applied to your team standings. Throughout this video, we will go through 5 different segments of our policies and procedures that are important for all participants to know. The first category talks about the team captain's responsibilities. We ask that team captains pay special attention to this segment. Being an intramural leader requires that you follow these guidelines to ensure a safe, fair, and fun intramural environment. As a team captain, being knowledgeable of our recreation's policies and procedures and your league's rules will ensure our intramurals are played fairly. From time to time, captains will receive additional information above and beyond our website via email. It is the team captain's responsibility and role to communicate these messages with your teammates. We ask that team captains ensure each and every game is played with sportsmanship. Here at Recreation, we call this fair play. Fair play scores will be implemented at the end of the game based on the level of sportsmanship from your team and each of its players. Along with game end fair play ratings, each captain has the responsibility to certify the game's final scores and player attendance. Recreation staff will ask you to confirm these 2 things on our iPad game sheets. Captains will need to make sure that their players, as well as the team supporters, represent our intramural programs and the university as a whole in an appropriate manner. Finally, any discussion that needs to take place between 2 teams, recreation staff, or game officials should only take place with the captains from each team. If teams' players have concerns, they need to approach their captain to relay the messages to recreation. In our second segment, we will talk about policies and procedures revolving around participant access to our intramural programs. All participants must enter the Christensen Family Center for Sport and Wellness through the Access Desk turnstiles in Building 8. There are a few ways that you are granted access into our facility. First is you are a student who attends MacEwan University. Second is you are general public, however you do hold a MacEwan University Sport and Wellness membership. The third is you can purchase a 10-visit discounted intramural-only pass. This pass can be shared amongst teammates and only provides access during intramural games. And fourth is you pay a one-time drop-in fee. As you enter into our facility beyond the turnstiles, you will notice that we have an intramural recreation board. Besides our website, you can also access information regarding schedules and standings on this bulletin board. The bulletin board is located on the southeast corner of the gymnasium. The schedules for each league will be posted on the bulletin board as well as our website before the start of the season. The playoff schedule will be adjusted after the end of the regular season. Before entering the gym, you must bring valid photo ID in order to participate. If you do not have your valid photo ID, you will not be able to play. In the MacEwan University Sport and Wellness Gymnasium, we will have 3 courts: the South Court, the Center Court, and the North Court. If you see a court occupied, we ask that participants please use another entrance into the gym. Prior to participation, each participant must bring closed-toed, non-marking athletic shoes. No food or drink is allowed in the gym. However, plastic water bottles are okay. Please do not bring anything into the gym that is breakable. We also ask that you keep your bags in the lockers. The next segment of our video covers participant policies and procedures.
Eligible players for intramurals include MacEwan University students, the general public as long as they are over the age of 18, varsity players or red shirts as long as the intramural sport they are registered for is not the same as the varsity sport they play, and retired varsity players. These are individuals who have not participated as a varsity athlete for 4 months. Retired players are allowed to play in an intramural league that is the same as the varsity sport they played.
All players are required to play at least 1 regular season game to be eligible for playoffs. Players are only allowed to play on 1 team per intramural league. We would like to remind participants to use our website at macewan.ca/recreation for all pertinent information regarding intramurals. Emails will be sent out periodically to the team captains to give updates on upcoming events for intramurals. Any new player wishing to join does not need to email or contact Recreation. They only need to bring valid photo ID to the game. Please check your sport-specific rules for any gender requirements for your intramural league. Please note that individual teams do not need to match gender ratios. Once you have entered the gym, please bring your photo ID to the Recreation staff desk. Sign-in takes place at the desk using an iPad. Again, all you need to do is bring your photo ID. Please remember our Recreation staff are there for your support. Let them know if you have any questions or concerns. In our 4th segment of this video, we'll be covering the policies and procedures regarding intramural league scoring.
Teams will receive 3 points for a win, 2 points for a tie, 1 point for a loss, and 0 points for a forfeit or default. A default occurs when a team does not meet the league's minimum gender or participant requirements within 5 minutes of their scheduled start time. In the event of a default, teams will receive a 0 for fair play and will lose $25 for their first default and the remaining $25 for a second.
If a team is removed from the league, they will not be refunded. For teams who are scheduled to play more than 1 game per night, they will only be charged with 1 default for that particular night of play.
If a captain feels that a default is impending, we ask that they contact Recreation at least 9 hours in advance for all weekday sports or by noon on Friday for Sunday sports to provide enough time for the opposing team to be notified. A team will forfeit rather than default if proper notification is given. In the event of a forfeit, a team will receive an overall fair play rating of 2. 2 forfeits during a season will result in a team losing $25 from their default deposit. At each game, teams will receive 2 fair play scores, 1 from the league supervisor and 1 from their opponents. The league supervisor will assign each team a rating out of 4, with the average score being 3. Opponents will assign a rating of either -1, 0, or +1, with the average rating being a +1. If a team is assigning their opponent a rating of -1, it must be accompanied by a detailed written justification. Poor ratings not accompanied by comments will be changed to a 0. If a team defaults a game, they will receive a rating of 0, composed of a 1 from the league supervisor and a -1 from their opponent. If a team forfeits, they will receive a rating of 2, composed of a 2 from the league supervisor and a 0 from their opponent.
Finally, we will have 2 theme weeks this semester. If the majority of your team dresses up for each theme week, you will receive 1 point on your team standings. If the majority of your team dresses up for both the theme weeks, you will receive an additional bonus 1 point attached to your team standings. To summarize your team standings, you will receive points for wins, ties, and losses, added your fair play scores, which are divided into 2 categories, the opposing team captain and our staff members, plus the theme weeks. All these points added together will equal your playoff seed. Every team makes the playoffs. However, only the top 4 teams will be eligible to win the Intramural League Championship.
A tie that occurs in the standings at the end of regular season play will be decided using the following process and in the following order: head-to-head results, most wins, fair play scores, point differential, and most participations, which is defined as the total number of participants who signed into play over the course of the season.
In our 5th and final segment, we will be covering incidents. Incidents can be defined as behavioral issues or injuries.
In the event of participant misconduct, Recreation uses a 3-class disciplinary process to determine which sanctions will be imposed. These classes range from relatively minor to extreme infractions that could result in long-term suspensions or even bans from recreation programming. Class 1 violations include unnecessary physical contact, the use of inappropriate gestures or language, the inappropriate use of equipment, and receiving a yellow card. Committing a Class 1 violation will result in a player being put on probation for the remainder of the season. Class 2 violations include repeating a Class 1 offense, generally the same offense during the season, receiving a red card, bullying, overly aggressive play that could lead to injury or fighting, throwing an object onto the playing surface, fraudulent activity, as well as engaging in a verbal altercation with an opponent, spectator, or teammate. Committing a Class 2 violation will result in a minimum 1-game suspension. Class 3 violations include repeating a Class 2 offense, generally the same offense, during the season, throwing an object at an individual, striking an opponent, spectator, teammate, or recreation staff member, the use of abusive, demeaning, or threatening language or behavior, the possession of a weapon, and engaging in a verbal altercation with staff. Committing a Class 3 violation will result in ejection from the facility, a minimum 4-game suspension, and may result in a lifetime ban from all recreation programming. All decisions regarding the length of suspensions will be made at the discretion of the recreation staff. The consumption of alcohol and narcotics during recreation programs is strictly prohibited. Any participant suspected of being under the influence of either will be asked to leave the premises immediately and may face further suspensions. Recreation reserves the right to confiscate any item suspected of containing alcohol. Before a player can be reinstated back into the league, they must schedule a meeting with the recreation staff. If this meeting is not arranged prior to the completion of their suspension, it will be extended until the meeting takes place. If an injury that occurs during a game results in a team not meeting gender requirements, they do not default. Rather, they can continue playing by replacing their injured player with a sub of any gender. Their opponents will have the option to meet the gender ratio of the team with the injured player. On the other hand, if an injury results in the team not meeting the minimum participant requirement, they will forfeit. Injured players cannot continue to participate as they may pose a threat to themselves or others. Any participant with visible blood on themselves or their clothing will be immediately asked to stop playing. They will only be permitted back into an activity after the clothing has been removed, the blood flow has been stopped, and the affected area has been bandaged. For the safety of all participants, a game will be stopped if any bodily fluid spill occurs on the playing area until such time that it can be appropriately cleaned and sanitized.